I'm honored to stand before you today as we embark on our journey to celebrate Black History Month. This is a significant event, not just for us, but for our entire community, as we look at the rich tapestry of the African American history and culture. Black History Month was first celebrated in 1926 and has evolved into a national observance in the United States, recognized in February each year. It was Carter G. Woodson, known as the father of Black history, who initiated this commemoration to recognize the contributions of African Americans to our nation's history and culture. But why February? The month was chosen because it coincides with the birthdays of Abraham Lincoln and Frederick Douglass, two of the most influential figures in the fight against slavery. Their birthdays serve as a reminder of the struggle for freedom and the inequality that African Americans have endured throughout history. As we celebrate Black History Month, we are not merely observing a month-long event, but we are acknowledging the resilience, the courage, the strength of the African Americans who have shaped our society and continue to do so today. From scientists and inventors like Garrett Morgan and Percy Julian, to artists and musicians like Louis Armstrong and Ella Fitzgerald. Our history is filled with remarkable individuals who have left an indelible mark on our world. We also recognize the struggles and the hardships that the African Americans have faced and continue to face. From the horrors of slavery and the Jim Crow era to the ongoing fight against systemic racism, the resilience in the face of adversity is a testament of the African American spirit. Black History Month is also an opportunity for us to reflect on our own roles and our responsibilities. As members of a diverse community, we have shared responsibility to learn about, understand, and respect the experience of others. Black History Month, in celebration of Black History Month, let us not forget that the past is prologue. The stories of the past, the triumphs and the struggles, the heroes and the villains, they all shape our present and influence the future. As we delve into the history and culture of African Americans, let us strive to understand, empathize, and appreciate the diversity that enriches our community. Let us use this month as an opportunity to learn, to grow, and to foster a deeper understanding and respect for each other. Black History Month at the Chillicothe 712 is not just about acknowledging the past. It's about recognizing the present and looking towards the future. It's about celebrating the diversity that makes who we are and fostering a sense of unity and mutual respect. As we begin this morning, I'd like to ask that we all stand and join together in the Pledge of Allegiance, followed immediately by our national anthem. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing for our national anthem. I would now like to invite to the podium Miss Kendra Allen as she shares a poem by the infamous Maya Angelou entitled Caged Bird.
A free bird leaps on the back of the wind and floats downstream till the current ends and dips his wings in the orange sun rays and dares to claim the sky. But a bird that stalks down his narrow cage can seldom see through his bars of rage. His wings are clipped and his feet are tied, so he opens his throat to sing. The caged bird sings with a fearful trill of things unknown but longed for still, and his tune is heard on the distant hill, for the caged bird sings of freedom. The free bird thinks of another breeze, and the trade winds soft through the sighing trees. The fat worm's waiting on a dawn-bright lawn, and he names the sky his own. But a caged bird stands on the grave of dreams, his shadow shouts on a nightmare scream. His wings are clipped and his feet are tied, so he opens his throat to sing. The caged bird sings with a fearful trill of things unknown but long for still, and his tunes are heard on the distant hill, for the caged bird sings of freedom. Yay!
Now, if you could turn your attention to the video boards for a short history of Black History Month.
It's February, so many teachers and schools are celebrating Black History Month, but there are still many misconceptions and misunderstandings about the past, present, and future of this celebration. So today, I thought we'd go back to the beginning. Hi, this is Mike Hines, and I'm a professor here at the Stanford Graduate School of Education, where my work focuses on the history of America's schools. What we now know as Black History Month had its beginnings as Negro History Week, which was invented by the famed historian, educator, and activist Carter G. Woodson in 1926. Negro History Week was a direct challenge to traditional curricula of the time period, which often degraded and dehumanized Black people. Negro History Week was also inextricably linked to Black calls for social, political equality. More than just a chance to talk about a few notable achievements, Negro History Week was a call to action. Although Negro History Week became one of his most widely known interventions, it was only part of Dr. Woodson's efforts to develop, democratize, and disseminate information on Black history. He also pursued this work through the establishment of the Association for Negro Life and History, its journals, the Journal of Negro History and the Negro History Bulletin, and textbooks, speeches, pamphlets, and materials for every grade level, from college down to kindergarten. Now, Woodson didn't do this work alone. Moving from idea to reality took the dedication of thousands of Black teachers, most of them women, who were largely responsible for shaping the celebration through their work in the classroom. It also took the work of entire communities, including churches, fraternities and sororities, libraries and lodges, social clubs, and civic organizations. This reflected Woodson's desire to encourage lay people, not just academics, to preserve and present their own histories. As the movement continued to grow, it outstripped the bounds of a single week, and the word Negro, which was outdated by the 1960s, was replaced by a new generation born and raised in the civil rights struggle. Black History Month emerged in its current form during those decades and is still going strong. So, is this celebration still relevant today? Well, it depends on who you ask. Critics charge that the progress we've made from the 1920s to the 2020s has largely made Black History Month irrelevant. Or, that worse, singling out Black history is actually counterproductive to broader efforts at inclusion. Although we may have made progress, however, research from the Southern Poverty Law Center and other sources still shows that we are far from our goal of honoring the multiple voices in our classrooms, challenging dominant narratives. At the same time, new and emerging movements for racial justice call out for historical context, which our schools simply fail to provide. Carter G. Woodson himself was cautiously optimistic that students in the future would no longer need Black History Month if we taught in ways that honored and elevated our students and told their stories all year long. But we're not there yet. So Black History Month will continue to be what it always has been, a celebration, a stinging indictment, and a call to action, all in one.
Now I invite up Ms. Sophie Mickey, who will introduce today's guest speaker.
It is with great pleasure and admiration that we welcome you to our Black History Month celebration at Chillicothe 712 building. Today, we have the distinct honor of hosting a remarkable individual who had left an enduring mark on our educational community, Mr. Marty Dunn. For an astounding 30 years, Mr. Dunn dedicated his life to the field of education, serving as a beacon of inspiration and knowledge for students at Chillicothe High School. His impact as a chemistry educator was not only felt within the confines of the classroom, but resonated throughout our entire Cavalier community. Mr. Dunn's passion for teaching went beyond textbooks. He instilled a love for learning and curiosity that has undoubtedly shaped the futures of countless students. Upon retiring from his role as an educator, Mr. Dunn's commitment to the betterment of our educational environment persisted. For 7.5 years, he took on the crucial position of Chillicothe High School attendance officer, ensuring that students were not only present, but engaged and thriving in their academic journeys. In his current role as a mediator and court advocate for Ross County Juvenile and Probate Court, Mr. Dunn continues to steadfast advocate for justice and the well-being of our youth. His transition from the classroom to the court exemplifies a life dedicated to service and community, making him a shining example of the positive impact one individual can have on the lives of many. As we gather to celebrate Black History Month, let us draw inspiration from Mr. Marty Dunn's journey, a journey marked by resilience, dedication, and an unwavering commitment to the betterment of our community. Let us welcome Mr. Dunn to the stage to share his insights and experiences with us today.
Wow, that was me, huh? Thank you, Sophie. Thank you, administration, Mr. Ballantyne, for inviting me here. If you go through and add up what she was saying, doesn't happen very often, but for 30 years, I was in this building, all right, as a teacher, and then for 7.5 more years, I did attendance for the high school and the middle school as well. So there's probably a tie or a connection with me. If you've been here and your family's from Chillicothe, there's probably a connection between us with me either having a mom or a dad, all right, or a cousin or uncle. I hate to say this, probably grandparents, okay? I've been here a long time, so there are some connections there. And being here in this same building. So I'm going to start out. I know it's Black History Month. I'm going to get to it. But I want to do a little bit of Chillicothe High School trivia. Because as I look out here, I see some of my former students, okay? Some of my former co-workers. So I'm going to ask a few questions. Now this, you got to follow directions, all right? So if I read, I'm going to give you a statement. If you think it's true, listen now, raise one hand, okay? Let's practice. Today is Sunday. Very good, all right. All right, listen to me now. If you think the statement that I give you is false, then you raise two hands, okay? Got it? Okay, today is Wednesday. No, you gotta follow it's one hand for true, all right? Two hands for false, all right? Okay, let's try this now. Let's try this. First thing I bring up to you, all right? Like I said, I've been here in this building, working here for almost 40 years, all right? If you think this is true, you raise one hand, doesn't matter which one. There was a baseball field that used to be at the end of the parking lot, and I was there coaching for their first game. If you think that's true, raise one hand. If you think it is false, raise two hands. I see a lot of one hands. That is correct. There was a baseball field here, and I was there for the first game. Let's go to the second trivia question, okay? When I first started here in 1983, that was my first year of teaching. I can't help when I was born, okay? In 1983, your mascot is Cavaliers, correct? True or false? That when I started in 83, there was no S, it was just Cavalier. If you think that's true, one hand. If you think it's false, two hands. No, it's always been Cavaliers. I'm not that old, okay? Next one. Here's the next one. Got a couple more, all right? I started teaching in 1983, okay? I am not as old as you would think. Do you think it's true or false that I started teaching at 12 years old? One hand for true, two hands for false. Way to go. You got one right, fine. Okay? Last one. This is the last one. Now, you're going to have to really think on this, okay? When I started as teacher here at Chillicothe High School, there was a swimming pool in this building. One hand for true, two hands for false. Well, I was also the baseball coach here for 26 years. I just threw you a curveball, okay? It's true and false. Your auxiliary gym, there was a gym on the other side of this building. It was called the rubber gym. It had a rubber floor. When it was originally built, this building, they were going to put a swimming pool in it, and they turned it into a gym. So instead of one, two, I didn't tell you, you should have been like this. Thank you guys for participating. Okay, here we go. I need you to do me a favor here. As she said, I taught chemistry in that back hallway there for 30 years, okay? And as you know, science is very, very imaginary, that you need to be able to think in the abstract. So I'm gonna ask you to do something for me here as we go about this, okay? I need you to cooperate. I'm not gonna try to stay up here very long because I know you're dying to get to your algebra classes, your English class. Oh, you mean things hadn't changed that much since I left? But I need you to cooperate with me. So what I need you to do now, listen to me, everyone. Thank you. I need you to do this for me. I need for you to close your eyes and think about what I'm about to share with you, okay? Can I trust you to do that? All right? So right now, if you would for me, staff, students, everyone in this building, I need you to do me a favor, all right, to get what I'm about to share with you. So please close your eyes right now, all right? What I need for you to think about is this: how you came to school this morning. If you drove, think about, put yourself in that situation of driving to school this morning. If you rode the bus, I want you to think about waiting at the bus stop, all right, for the bus. If you came to school with your parents or you rode with some of your friends, I would like for you to think about that situation from home on your way to school, okay? I need for you to do this quietly. If you don't want to participate, that's okay. Just don't mess it up for someone else. Think about on your way to school. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, a car pulls out in front of where you are, hits a telephone pole, the pole breaks over the car, engine on the car catches a fire, you're standing there either by yourself or the people that are with you, and there are people in the car. There's a man, there's a woman, and there's an infant child. I said, do it quietly, please. You, or whoever's with you, you may be by yourself. You take off in a dead sprint to where this accident has taken place, and you hear voices asking you for help. Either you're by yourself because you were waiting by yourself. Either you were in a car with someone else and it's you and your friends. Or you were in a car with your parents or on a bicycle, but you go over to help. And you do everything in your power to pull the man, to pull the woman and the child out of the car. In doing this, they are okay, but as soon as you get the last individual out, the car explodes. Eventually, the police show up. The fire department shows up. The EMTs show up. Someone from the newspaper shows up. These people are taken to the hospital with your assistance, and they're going to be okay. You can open your eyes now. In this process, a couple of weeks later, this story of what you or you and your friends did, which was miraculous in saving these lives, it's on the news. It's throughout Ohio. It's in Columbus. It's in Cleveland. And there's going to be an awards program. In that awards program, they're going to hold it right here in Chillicothe because this is where it took place. And you're going to have your choir here to sing songs. You're going to have your band back there to celebrate this occasion. So guess what? There's going to be a stage up here. There's going to be the fire department, the police department, the EMTs, the nurses at the hospital, the doctors that did the surgery. The governor's going to come down and present awards. And everybody standing up here and their role in which they play to save this family is going to get recognized, except you and your friends. How do you think you would feel? I used to be, when I first started, I was in charge of the Black Scholarship Club. And on this day, I would get asked, well, why we got to have a Black Scholarship Club? And then kind of in separation. Think about how you just felt, in which you mainly contributed to saving some people's lives, and there was no recognition. That's why we have Black History Month, and that's why we have Black History Program, to recognize the efforts and the accomplishments and the selflessness of a group of people. Listen to what I'm about to share with you. This country is a melting pot. Most of you in here, if you go back, all right, your ancestors came from Europe, around the world. And when they came into this country, they came by way, most of them, of New York and a place called Ellis Island. And Ellis Island is where you came in to register, become a part of this country. On a ship, probably crammed, probably not the greatest of conditions, but you came. And you came by, many of them came by the Statue of Liberty. African Americans didn't get that. They were forced to come here. They was taken from their home. They came across for weeks in a boat, all right? Not seeing daylight. Many of them died on their way here. That's the difference. But you know what's even more important and where I'm going with this? Our country, the United States of America, one of the greatest, all right, countries on the face of the earth, even with all its problems. African Americans fought in every war, from the Revolutionary War to the Civil War, World War I, II, you name it, they all were participants. Think about this. And this is how you look at what African Americans did. Think about this. You are taken from your home, away from your family, away from people that you know, to a place that you have never, ever seen. Let's say most of you, I would guess, you're at least probably 14, 15 years old. Let's say this happens to you, all right? And then when you're 20 years from now, when you're 35, 40 years old, you get your freedom and you turn around to the people that abducted you, took you away from everything you knew, and you said, you know what? I'm going to help make your life better. That's what African Americans did, okay? That's what African Americans did. They placed themselves in a situation that they made this country their own. With that, Black History Month should not be a separating point. History is supposed to draw us together. It's supposed to be advantageous to see the mistakes of the past so that we grow in the future. Black History Month should not be something that white students, Asian students look and say, I'm not a part of that. That's not true. Black History Month, in truth, blacks could not have gained their freedom without whites. Think about that. They could not have. Do you realize Abraham Lincoln was white? Okay? The Underground Railroad. Most of you probably heard of Harriet Tubman, correct? Harriet Tubman went back several times, many times, bringing back other African American slaves to freedom up north. But she had to take them somewhere. African Americans didn't own their own property. So she brought them north to white homes. I have been in Columbus to a couple of homes that served as part of the Underground Railroad. Do you realize this here in Chillicothe? That there are homes, according to what historians have shared with me, there are places here in Chillicothe where the Underground Railroad and Africans stopped to stay with white Americans till they could make it further up north and into Canada. That's Black history, all right? It's all our history. Because you may have had some relatives here, some descendants, that housed African Americans. And you got to understand, it wasn't like just come in, let's have some tea and cookies. If they were found out, they could be killed. Many of them were. There were many white Americans that lost their lives from sheltering African American slaves. So it's all about history. What I want to get across to you today is that when we think about Black History Month, yes, when I was your age and I was in high school, my history book said nothing about African American. Nothing. Nothing. That's why, come today, it is important to recognize, not just because you're black, but because we're people and we have the same cause in mind, making this world better. It should be. Black History Month should be a month in which we look at, if you think about, I'm not going to give them all, I'm not going to go through all of them, but there are inventions by African Americans, all right, Folding chairs. An African American invented that. Elevator doors. African American invented that. Functional clocks. African American invented that. All right? How many of you, when you were kids, what is that, water gun? Yeah, African American invented that. Okay? One last thing I want to share with you. Okay? Many of you have families. You've probably been there. Blood transfusion. A guy by the name of Charles Drew, all right, came up with the process for blood transfusion. Now we do these. Thousands upon thousands are done every day. Some of you probably had a blood transfusion. But all of these things was to make our lives better. Do you realize Dr. Charles Drew, who was an African American, you know how he died? He died from not being able to get a blood transfusion that he created because he was African American. If you don't get much of anything else other than the trivia, maybe you remember that. But if nothing else, remember that Black History Month is about people that were caring. It's about African Americans that once they were free, they wanted to make this the best country that they were living in. There were whites in this country, all right, that understood injustice. And they did the best that they could to overcome this injustice for African Americans. They cared. How can you contribute? All right? How can you contribute? Show people you care. That's something simple. You don't have to have a lot of money to show somebody you care. You don't have to live in the biggest house to show somebody you care. You don't have to be the best athlete to show somebody you care. You don't have to be an all-A student to show somebody you care. See, showing somebody you care is when you have teachers, all right? And a teacher, I remember, you have a teacher that you don't think likes you, go up to that teacher and says, have a good day. Teachers, I know you got a bunch of knuckleheads sometimes that get on your nerves, but you know what? Speak to them and tell them, have a good day. Administrators, I know you have staff members that get on your nerve, but you know what? Every now and then, tell them to have a good day. Care. Care. That's what any celebration is about, is letting someone know you care. If you get nothing else from this, walk away that you remember this Black History Month Assembly. Work on trying to care. Thank you very much for your time.
Thanks, Mr. Dunn. We appreciate your message for each of us this morning. As we continue on in our program, we have invited our select choir at the middle school to share with us a musical selection entitled Ticket to the Kingdom, led by Mrs. Davis.
everybody got the things that they done. Some of these words are never belong. You look around for me and let me down. I want to take you to the glory kingdom. I want to take you to the glory land. I'll put my treasures and memories behind. You know the world can't do me no harm. And the world can't do me no harm. And the world can't do me no harm.
Thank you to Mrs. Davis and our select choir. At this time, it was at the inauguration of President Joe Biden that a young African-American author shared with our nation a poem that she entitled "The Hill We Climb," from the perspective of a young African-American woman by the name of Amanda Gorman. I'd like to share with you her piece entitled "The Hill We Climb." When day comes, we ask ourselves, where can we find light in this never-ending shade? The loss we carry, a sea we must wade. We've braved the belly of the beast. We've learned that quiet isn't always peace, and the norms and notions of what just isn't always justice. And yet the dawn is ours before we knew it. Somehow we do it. Somehow we've weathered and witnessed a nation that isn't broken, but simply unfinished. We, the successors of our country in a time where a skinny black girl descended from slaves and raised by a single mother can dream of becoming president, only to find herself reciting for one. And yes, we are far from polished, far from pristine, but that doesn't mean we are striving to form a union that is perfect. We are striving to form a union with purpose, to compose a country committed to all cultures, colors, characters, and conditions of man. So we lift our gazes not to what stands between us, but what stands before us. We close the divide because we know to put our future first. We must first put our differences aside. We lay down our arms so we can reach out our arms to one another. We seek harm to none and harmony for all. So we lift our gazes not to what stands between us, but what stands before us. We close the divide because we know to put our future first. We must put our differences aside. Let the globe, if nothing else, say this is true, that even as we grieved, we grew, even as we hurt, we hoped, even as we tired, we tried. That will forever be tied together, victorious, not because we will never again know defeat, but because we will never again sow division. Scripture tells us to envision that everyone shall sit under their own vine and fig tree, and no one should make them afraid. If we're to live up to our own time, then victory won't lie in the blade, but in all of the bridges we've made. That's the promise to Glade, the hill we climb if only we dare it, because being American is more than a pride we inherit. It's the past we step into and how we repair it. We've seen a force that we would shatter our nation rather than share it. That would destroy our country if it meant delaying democracy, and this effort very nearly succeeded. But while democracy can periodically be delayed, but it can never be permanently defeated. In this truth, in this faith, we trust, for while we have our eyes on the future, history has its eyes on us. This is the era of just redemption we feared in its inception. We did not feel prepared to be the heirs of such a terrifying hour, but within it we found the power to author a new chapter, to offer hope and laughter to ourselves. So while once we asked how we could possibly prevail over catastrophe, now we assert how could catastrophe possibly prevail over us. We will not march back to what was, but move to what shall be. A country is bruised but whole, benevolent but bold, fierce and free. We will not be turned around or interrupted by intimidation, because we know our inaction and inertia will be the inheritance of the next generation. Our blunders become their burden, but one thing is certain. If we merge mercy with might and might with right, then love becomes our legacy and changes our children's birthright. So let us leave behind a country better than one we were left. With every breath from my bronze, pounded chest, we will raise this wounded world into a wondrous one. We will rise from the golden hills of the west. We will rise from the windswept northeast, where our forefathers first realized revolution. We will rise from the lake-rimmed cities of the Midwestern states, and we will rise from sun-baked South. We will rebuild, reconcile, and recover in every known nook of our nation. In every corner called our country, our people, diverse and beautiful, will emerge battered and beautiful. When the day comes, we step out of the shade of flame and unafraid, but new dawn blooms as we free it. For there's always light if we're only brave enough to see it, if we're only brave enough to be it. The words of Miss Amanda Gorman. Now I invite up Mr. Cayman Allen as he gives us a brief history into the Black National Anthem, that at his conclusion, we will all stand and the words will be on the monitors for us to sing together as one. Mr. Cayman Allen.
The Black National Anthem, formerly known as Lift Every Voice and Sing, holds a special place in the hearts of many within the African American community. Composed by James Weldon Johnson, and set to music by his brother John Rosamond Johnson, this powerful hymn was first performed in the 1900s and later became an anthem for the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, or the NAACP. Lift Every Voice and Sing is more than just a song. It is a soul-stirring ode to resilience, freedom, and the enduring spirit of the people who have faced adversity with unwavering strength. The lyrics paint a vivid picture of the struggles and triumphs experienced by African Americans, serving as a poignant reminder of the ongoing journey towards equality and justice. This anthem has been a source of inspiration during pivotal moments in history, from the Civil Rights Movement to present day, and it continues to resonate as a symbol of unity and pride. As we pay homage to the Black National Anthem, let us embrace the opportunity to reflect on the shared history and heritage it represents, fostering a deeper understanding of the struggle and triumphs that has shaped the African American experience. Now, as we stand on the shoulders of those who have come before us, let the powerful words of Lift Our Voice and Sing serve as a call to unity, justice, and celebration and collective humanity. Please join me in acknowledging the significance of the Black National Anthem and the profound impact it has had on the cultural and historical tapestry of our nation. Thank you.
Let us stand together.
Let us march on, till victory is won.
As we wrap up this morning, I wanted to take the opportunity to thank Mrs. Turon and our jazz band for their music as we entered and as we depart this morning. So thank you to our jazz band. Thank you to Mrs. Davis and our select choir, and to our students who participated in making today's assembly possible. Let us carry forward the spirit of unity, understanding, and appreciation that has been defined during our time together. As we reflect on the stories that were shared, the powerful message conveyed by Mr. Dunn, the profound impact of the Black National Anthem, let us commit ourselves to continued learning and advocacy. Black History Month serves as a reminder that the journey towards equality is ongoing, and each of us in this room plays a part, a vital role in fostering an inclusive and just society. Let the narratives we've explored empower us to challenge stereotypes, embrace diversity, and stand together in the face of injustice. Mr. Dunn, I appreciate the message you bring to us this morning. While I might have only been 3 years old when you started teaching, and anyone who can do the math, you can let me know how old I am. That'd be helpful if you could tell me. And we appreciate, Mr. Dunn, the message. I did not have the opportunity to work with Mr. Dunn his entire tenure here at Chillicothe High School, but I did during his last 7.5 years as the attendance coordinator. And I can tell you, there is no man who is more true to his word, who is more caring for the student population of all nations and of all races. Mr. Dunn is a pivotal member of the Chillicothe Cavalier family. And I could not be more thankful for his agreement to be here this morning to share with you the message that he had as we celebrate the legacy that Mr. Dunn left for Chillicothe High School and continues to impact at Chillicothe High School. Mr. Dunn, I appreciate you and your message, and could be not more proud to call you a friend and a colleague. Thank you. Together, Let us continue to uplift the voices that have shaped our narrative, ensuring that the lessons learned resonate throughout not just today, but the entire year. Thank you for your presence here this morning, your commitment to fostering a community that honors and celebrates the richness of our shared human experience. As we finish this morning's assembly, we will pick up our schedule where we left off. So at this point, our middle schoolers will report as soon as I dismiss to intervention, and our high schoolers should be reporting to third period, and then we will commence the normal schedule from here out through the remainder of the day. Thank you all for participating. I will dismiss you by sections. Everyone have an enjoyable day. So middle school, I'll ask Ms. Domo and our staff up there to start dismissing. Those of the students in the lower section who are on the right-hand side of me, you may go ahead and go on to third period. All right, seniors in the center section, you may go to your fourth period.